Kia ora, and then just to answer number 2 question, how have Māori values supported the growth in this situation? So I think a lot of them actually are applicable to this situation for me. Whakawhanaungatanga was quite big, I think, at the time, sort of going through that process of death and loss and questioning my own sort of identity and self-belief. There was a lot of actually craving a sense of belonging within that, and maybe not feeling that I had that prior, with that be just the relationship I was in, or sort of the people I was hanging around, because I just wanted to be liked by people, and I didn't necessarily deeply connect with a lot of people that I was around at the time. And I think it drew me closer to my whānau, like my immediate whānau. And rangatiratanga, sort of being in control. I really like this one, sort of redefining my life. I think it was a strong value, sort of standing on my own 2 feet afterwards. And it's interesting because it feels like the death of my cousin was a catalyst for what was sort of teetering above the surface for a very long time. And all these things I wanted to do, but I didn't know how, and I had such an emotional block too. So like having self-awareness, and taking control of the direction of my life that I wanted to go in, and being more confident in that. Tuakana and Tina, that was probably pretty big too, sort of having people around me that were older than me, who could give me wisdom, and just be able to listen and advise me and guide me. There were sort of 2 people in particular at the time that I probably owe a lot to, and sort of pulling me out of that state of grief towards the end there, sort of after 6 months of still being quite sort of moving from like a sadness and then into a sort of like a victim, pulling me out of like a victim state. And Wairoa for sure. Really stepping into my essence and my spiritual being a lot more in that sense. I was always kind of quite spiritual, and I think the years previous I'd kind of lost it and sort of allowed myself to get stuck into a more mainstream way of thinking and processing, and being very confined and trapped, which didn't really serve my soul. So it's amazing how much actually came from his death, and a mirroring effect of the death of my own. Some parts of my being that just needed to be let go of and grow. Māori, my Māori definitely came out quite strongly. It's particularly this year, sort of being able to focus on myself a lot more, after being able to let go of a lot of grieve a lot of things that I'd been holding on to. And I think what values have supported the situation. It's really interesting because it feels a lot different now than it was at the time that it was happening, because the unfoldment and sort of the intensity of life at the time felt very all-encompassing in terms of my emotions, and it does give me this sense and this feeling of this closing in, the darkness closing in, and alongside a sort of a mental health thing, because I think his lifestyle and his death really spoke to, you know, a lot of the issues that I've sort of, in terms of the society and how the world operates, as we operate as a society, and we're governed by certain things, and how misunderstood somebody can be by the general public, or in the eye of the sort of, you know, the norm, and how their decisions can really define them by society, but, you know, and all of that darkness kind of was rehabilitated, like that, you know, he was always quite a troubled, he always made interesting decisions, but his essence, he was not by any means a bad person. So it was really sad to see that he didn't get the opportunity to rise above sort of the society and its expectations and its limiting beliefs and boxes that it fits us in. I guess my values that have supported this situation is always for sort of firmly believing in a higher consciousness and Wairo, and feeling like everything happens for a reason, and that there's always growth in any situation. I think those are values. Yeah.